So today we're here at Southeast Game Exchange, as you can see over here, and we haven't done a mystery box in a little while. So I thought it would be fun to give April a little bit more fundage this time and let her just go wild at a convention and see what she can find for a mystery box. Now we did come up with a little stipulation: no Nintendo 64 games, because I bought a bunch of them here already, and the other stipulation is going to make the N64 games kind of hard. Something she came up with to do, since this is a special one, she's going to find games that all spell out my name, Austin, A-U-S-T-I-N. So there'll be 6 games, one starting with an A, one starting with a U, with an S, with a T, with an I, with an N, and that will be the mystery box this week. Her budget is increased. It's 100 this time instead of 60, and we're gonna see what kind of fun things she's able to find. So you ready?
Woo! Let's go!
Let's do it. What's up, guys? So as you saw in the intro, we are doing another mystery box, this time from Game Exchange. This month we did a $100 budget instead of a $60 budget. No N64 games this time. She wanted to find a game for every letter of my name, so A-U-S-T-I-N. I think I already said this in the intro, but that was recorded several days ago, so we'll figure it out as we go. The other rules still apply. If cartridges, it can be loose. If discs, I ask they be complete. We've got that figured out here. She said that she did get the 6 and then also got a bonus game for the first letter of the last name, Pete. So Austin Pete. And having said that, we can now crack in. So I have not looked in this box yet. Okay, nothing's flipped face down, so I don't need to look into it. But we are doing it in name order. So the first game is the A game, and it is in the with its how light it is. So this feels like it might be the Xbox game.
PS4.
This is a PS4 game. Okay, it's a little heavier than I expected for a PS4 game. So for the A, we've got Aegis Defenders. It's a humble bundle game. Ooh. Aegis of Defenders seems like a kind of game that I would really, really like. The pixel art style like that is something I've always been a fan of. As you can probably guess by how much I love retro games, I like the idea of swapping characters back and forth to solve puzzles, and it's cool that it has a co-op option, so it's not like you as a lone person has to do it. You and a friend could come and play this game together as this full co-op experience. I only played a little bit of it to get a feel for it, but this is definitely one that I want to come back to try and work my way through it. It kind of gave me the same intrigue that something like Cave Story gave me back in the day. It's just something that I'm looking forward to sitting back down with and really trying to sink my teeth into to get to really get an appreciation for this game. I feel like it's there to be had. I just have to actually do it. Never heard of this one before. I do like these pixel art style games that I'm excited to dive into. I'd almost feel bad opening this because that is still very much sealed, and it looks like the seal is in pretty good shape too. Okay then. So how much is this one valued at?
$29.99.
And the price sticker on it said 30, so you got that right on the money. Perfect. Next up, we've got one of these Super Nintendo games. It's wrapped up. Let me go ahead and unwrap it.
It's sealed.
Yeah, it's sealed, not in a box. You guys are going to get to see it first. This is... Oh, Urban Strike. Cool.
Urban Strike is definitely a strike game. This feels very similar to the games that came before it, Desert Strike and Jungle Strike. Truth be told, I haven't really sat down to sink my teeth into either of those two games, so it's hard for me to say anything about this one in comparison to it. But I will say it does feel very similar to those, so if you enjoyed those games, you'll enjoy this one too.
Yeah, I think this is like a Majesco print of it. That's something that we need to talk about in a video one day. But Urban Strike. I played Jungle Strike and Desert Strike from the mystery box, from the last mystery box, and those were both fun. I needed to actually dive into them more than I did. How much is this one worth?
$11.99.
This one is worth $11.99, and I threw the thing down.
Well,
we'll cover it in there, but it's also worth $11.90. It was $11.95. Next in the box, we got the S game, which we'd already talked about, or she and I had already talked about. So this is the only one that I didn't. This is the only one that's not a surprise to me, and that is Spider-Man for the GameCube.
Spider-Man for the GameCube is very much a Spider-Man game. Now, I know that Spider-Man 2 is kind of where the love for the 2000s Spider-Man games comes in. I haven't played that Spider-Man 2 in a long time, but I can feel that this was kind of the building blocks for that game, from what I remember of it. I had fun sitting down and playing through the tutorial on this guy to kind of get a feel for how this game plays. It has some quirks to it, especially if you compare it to the more recent, like 2018 Spider-Man, which it's hard not to compare anything to that game because it's amazing. But I do intend to sit down with all of the Spider-Man games at some point because I do really enjoy Spider-Man and I want to see the evolution of the video games, starting back at like the N64 era of the 3D Spider-Man games.
From one of the eras of when movie tie-in games were actually good. I think I did have this one already on the PS2, but I have not played it, and honestly, I would prefer to play it on the GameCube. So this is going to be my preferred way to dive into this. And now I need to find Spider-Man 2 and 3 on the GameCube as well. So that's going to be fun once I can get all of those together. So how much do we have value on this guy?
This one is valued at $10.
$10. $10 complete. Not too bad. Next up, we've got the other Super Nintendo game. So this would be the I. This is the T. So this would be the T. I can't even spell my own name. Once again, you guys will see it before I do. We have TenStar. I don't know anything about this.
This one is a robot cowboy in the Wild West.
Okay. What kind of game is it? Like what's...
It's a shoot 'em up.
So while I was right that TenStar was a bit of a shooter, it was a bit different than something like Gradius or Xevious. It was a lot more of almost like a Sin and Punishment style of game, or an Operation Wolf where you are on rails and you're just controlling the reticle to shoot the guys. It's a nice, like, I don't know what the word for a robotic Western is because it's not like steampunk, but if there's a word for that, you guys can let me know down in the comments. Robot Western. But this is actually a really fun one. I had a lot of fun testing it out to record for this video, and I'm looking forward to being able to sink some more time into it because it was a good little time. Although I do like this kind of setting. SteamWorld Dig had a very similar setting, and I really enjoyed that as well.
And what do we have in value for this guy?
This one is valued at $12.99.
$12.99 for TenStar. Next up, we've got the I. I can already tell just from the glance that this is the green case, so this is the Xbox 360 game. And we've got Lego Indiana Jones 2.
I've always heard people really like the Lego games, and I can understand why. It's full of a type of charm that I would expect from Lego if it was actually like a living thing. I have to say, I feel like this is a game that April would really enjoy playing. Maybe not this specific one because she's not super big on Indiana Jones as a series, but there's a bunch of different IPs that have been made into Lego games, and I feel like she would enjoy just how this game plays. So if there's another series that we can find that had the Lego game treatment, I think she would get a lot of enjoyment out of something like that. So yeah, that's something for me to look out for in the future.
My dad played these Lego Indiana Jones games, and they were a ton of fun.
Okay. I've always heard great things about the Lego games. Like the Lego Star Wars games particularly, I've heard were like fantastic. So I've never actually like dove into any of the Lego games themselves. So this will be a fun thing to actually dive into. I might need to look for Lego Indiana Jones 1 first though, so I can, get the proper lore and everything. What's the value on this guy?
$8.72.
$8.72. Not too shabby.
The end game was the hardest.
Yeah, she had a struggle finding this game particularly. This one is also sealed. So is this PS4?
Yes.
Okay. PS4, PlayStation Hits, Need for Speed.
Now, I know that a lot of people have loved the Need for Speed series from back in like the GameCube and PS2 era. I've only played those maybe once or twice in my life. A friend of mine had Need for Speed Most Wanted, I think, and we stayed up late one night playing that game. But I feel like there's something about Need for Speed on the PS4 that just didn't quite sit with me well. Maybe it's because I don't have the history with the series, or maybe it's just because I possibly didn't give it enough time. This is one of those games that I don't know if I'll want to go back to, but I wonder if I should, just to see if I can really, just to see if it can click for me as to what this series meant for people way back in the day. Or maybe this one is a problem child of the series and I need to go back and play like Most Wanted or Carbon or something, or one of those older games, to really understand the love for the Need for Speed series.
It did finally speak to me. I was getting tired. I didn't want to go for a racing game, but it is what it is.
I mean, the Need for Speed games I've always heard good things about. And what's the value on this guy?
$17.49.
$17.
That was a good value for the price.
Yeah, that's a good deal. And lastly, we've got the bonus P game. So this would be the PS2 game.
Yes.
The PS2. Okay. Pitfall: The Lost Expedition.
I have to say, I think Pitfall: The Lost Expedition probably surprised me almost the most out of all of these here. I wasn't expecting too much going into it because it is a Pitfall game, and Pitfall is Pitfall from the Atari 2600 days. But this actually had a lot of character to it, and while the platforming was a little janky, it does seem like it would be a lot of fun, and it does seem like this would actually be a really good time to sit down and make your way through, and I do intend to do just that. Also, it really caught me off guard when I started playing it and I heard Steve Bloom. This is not a game I would have expected Steve Bloom to be a part of.
It includes a Pitfall 2. That's fun. I didn't realize that Pitfall actually kept going for a while. I knew that the Mayan Adventure was like one of the more expensive games for the 32X, but I did not realize that Pitfall continued on to the PS2, so that's really cool to see. I'm sure it plays better than the Atari game though. And what was the value on this guy?
$13.02.
$13.02. That's it for the box. One of the whole things that I didn't like about doing any of the other like paid for mystery boxes is that you kind of got crap and then you kind of overpaid for crap. So one good thing about having somebody who actually cares about you go and do this for you is that they'll actually find something that looks to be worthwhile to play, but also isn't overpriced nonsense. And I believe this turned out to be a slightly profitable box, did it not?
$104.20.
So I gave her $100 and you spent like basically the entire amount, didn't you?
I spent $100 and like 23 cents.
Okay, she spent $100.23 and all these games value together are worth $104. So we are slightly in the black on. But that's it for another Better Half Mystery Box. Stay tuned, we will be doing another one at some point in the future. So again, I want to thank you guys so much for being here, and thanks for sticking around, seeing all of this crazy crap that we do together. So again, thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.